All right, folks, let's get seated, please. Quiet down. Get seated. This is actually really fun when you start talking about argument. It is. I don't want to take away from your introduction, but like, anytime you can ask what language that is. Yeah. Okay. Anytime you walk into a room and that language is written on the board, you're gonna have a good lesson.
Greek, right?
Who knows? All right. So hey, listen up. Hey, listen up, guys. Stop talking. Focus on me. All right. So I have everybody's attention. All right. Today is an opportunity to have a little bit different style of a lesson. Okay? If you could take a deep breath. Wow, it's shocking that that's what I got out of mostly 15-year-old boys. All right. All right. Okay. Yeah, that was a poke at you. Wait till we get to Romeo and Juliet, then I really start targeting you guys. Yeah, I got picked on by Mr. Smith. You're gonna be able to say that. All right, so listen up. Please give your focus and attention. All right. If you no knuckleheaded stuff, like give us an opportunity to get through this. Questions? So I'm going to suggest to you that you set that over there, because right now I don't want to take it away from you and not let you have the end result of your little science experiment. But if you're shaking it, I'm going to take it away and knock it back. I'm going to set it over there away from you.
Won't touch it.
I'm going to put it away from your body so that you're not arguing right now, so I'm not taking it forever. I'm just moving it away from you. Okay? It's a good choice. It's a good choice. That's why I said help you out, man. I got you, bro. Alright. Alright. Thank you. Pay attention.
I want you guys to close your eyes. Everybody just shut your eyes. So, you are just getting back from school and you're super duper hungry. And you come into your closet and you see Doritos, Cheetos, and Fritos. And you really want something salty, something good to eat. So, raise your hand if you would choose Doritos to eat. Alright, put your hands down. Raise your hands if you would choose Cheetos. Alright, put your hands down and raise your hand if you would choose Fritos. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about ethos, logos, and pathos. So ethos, logos, and pathos, it comes from, I think it's Latin, right? Latin? Pretty sure it's Latin, yeah. And it was made by Aristotle in ancient Greece. So ethos, logos, and pathos are three concepts that you use really unknowingly when you're making an argument. So unless you really know what they are right now, you've been using these all throughout your signpost notes, your arguments, you've been using these all semester pretty much.
And you've been using them your entire lives.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
How many of you guys ever watch a courtroom movie? Okay.
Well, you know the movie.
No. Saying, think back to those, and think about how the lawyers use these, and maybe that'll come out in an example later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll pay attention.
Okay. So ethos is credibility. So credibility is something believable, something or someone that you trust, and how something presents itself. So it's something that you've always just, you know it and you believe it and you think that it's credible and real. So for your essays, this would be kind of the sources that you've been getting. So SIRS is a credible way to get sources for your essays, because it's peer reviewed. It's people have been writing about these for a long time. It's the experts that you use for your quoted words. And so this is just something that builds credibility with the audience that you're kind of talking about, or talking to.
What's the signpost where ethos is really, really important, right? Where we actually ask the question, what makes this person qualified to say this? Anybody know what signpost it might be?
Notice a note. Quoted words.
Quoted words, right?
I know that.
That's the name of the book.
I read the first one and I was like, notice it. No, I was like, oh crap.
So quoted words, right? So, guys, let's say we're trying to identify a murderer based on the tire tracks. I'm thinking of My Cousin Vinny, if you've ever seen that.
I love that.
Okay, all right. Remember the tire track scene, right? Where they're talking about the tire tracks, okay? Now, if you ask Mr. Scannell to testify about what a tire track is, do I have a whole lot of ethos there? Nope.
I don't think so.
No, because I don't know anything about cars or tires. I'm the least mechanically inclined person in the world. You ask Levi, right? Okay? He would be more of an expert witness in that situation, right? He would be able to give you more insight. He has more ethos in that situation. Did I totally screw that up?
No,
Am I
that's
right
good.
on?
Yeah.
Okay. Right? Got it? So quoted words, why does this person have the ability to use that? That is using ethos. And this is going to play in really, really well when we go into your mock trial situation. So ethos is huge.
Okay, so kind of ethos examples. So it would be Mr. Suter or Mr. Scannell. How they built credibility with you guys. How did they show ethos? So yeah, how has Mr. Scannell showed ethos to you guys?
So what gives me any kind of credibility in a classroom? Like, how would you answer the question, why does Mr. Scannell belong in an English classroom? Quiet down, raise your hand if you got an idea.
Caden.
He went to college. He went to college.
He went to college. Good. Exactly. That builds his credibility because he got a degree in what he's teaching. Jake.
He actually likes English.
Yeah. He likes English. I also like English. I'm going to become an English teacher. So that also builds credibility because he likes what he's doing. He's passionate about it. Andrew.
How many times he's worked?
Right. Yeah, exactly. His experience. So his experience.
You're trying to say my age?
No.
Because it's age.
No.
Age is not to get wisdom.
Age is not done.
What do you say?
Person is just a word.
Not-
My age is a word.
I think you got away with one.
Alright, so for your mock trial, when you guys go into that, the lawyers need to be credible. So kind of what we've been talking about with Mr. Scannell, where the language they use, the clothing that they wear. So if a lawyer came in with sweatpants and a sweatshirt, would you be more would you believe that they were credible at all?
Yeah, I feel like they're super relaxed. They're a lawyer who would
Just what's that?
I'll take the other lawyer.
I know, I think that lawyer.
I'll take the other
But I
lawyer.
feel like it's like it's just a hobby.
It's just.
This isn't my actual
So
job.
let me ask you a question. I want to make sure you guys understand this.
Full-time
Is
job.
saying, hey, this is just a hobby when it comes to legal action as being a lawyer, would that carry a lot of ethos?
No.
No, you have to take it seriously.
Unless you're actually really good at your hobbies,
Okay, so for witnesses, so they must be truthful and or the jury aren't gonna believe them. So, so if if a witness is being super emotional, or if they're just kind of talking like this, and I don't really care what I'm talking about, would that be, would you be more inclined to believe them if they showed emotion, or not?
So that makes me think of the commercial that's going on around right now where this guy's being prepped for surgery.
Oh,
The surgeon-
yeah.
The surgeon walks in and he's like, it's my first day back. And the guy goes, are you nervous? And the person goes, yeah. He goes, yeah, me too. You know what I mean? Does that help you with, does that guy carry a lot of ethos?
No. And then saying, okay, is just
Okay, it's just not okay.
Just okay.
Just okay, it's not okay. Yeah.
got
And then the jury is also carrying ethos because they're outside sources. So they don't have any personal ties to the case at all. And so they don't have any bias with who they're, trying to judge over. And same with the judge. They have the judgment call, but if they use less bias with that judgment call, and they judge it fairly based on the evidence, based on the experience of how much they've been doing this, what they've seen in the past, that will build ethos with the judge and the jury as well. So logos is logic and reason. So it's the evidence of the argument. It's the evidence you've been using in your papers, the evidence that you will use in your case for the mock trial. You kind of just have to put these in an order that makes sense and that's organized. So if one case, or if one piece of evidence isn't put in the right place, then that is less of logos and less of ethos, because if the evidence is tampered with, then the logic of your whole reason why you're bringing this evidence into your case just doesn't really make sense. So another thing is pulling multiple reasons back to your claim. So this would be kind of your main points that you're making in your essay, or your main points that you're making as you're arguing for your case. But you have to also think about the quality of the reasoning, and not the quantity. So, for example, if you say that something is your favorite thing in the world, but you have all these reasons for it, but none of those reasons actually make sense, it's not gonna have people, it's not gonna make people believe what you're saying. So it's all about the quality of your answers, the quality of the reasonings behind your evidence. That will help you with your case and the evidence that you have. So for a real life example of logos, like I was saying, it would say, if you say something is the best ever, and you have the evidence to back it up. So, Andrew, what's your favorite restaurant?
Wendy's.
Why?
Because it's good.
See, that is a bad example of
Yeah.
logos.
So, patties that they make
Mhm.
square, not round. And it's
Okay, now
like,
you're getting warmer.
Right.
You're
I
getting
got
warmer.
this one. So, and the buns are circle, right? So if you get a little nibble before you get the real bun and everything. It's
Oh, okay.
There you
I didn't know
go.
where you're going with that, but I'm with you. All right.
Mhm.
I think there's one really big thing that you can say about Wendy's.
They're
They're
also
built from
redhead.
logic and logos, which actually goes back to what? Which one would that be? That would be.
Yeah, a little double.
Where would it be?
Yeah, that's all. Oh, so no.
Logic, notice no, quit saying those no, pick the signpost. Logic, right?
Logic.
Okay, so when you're talking about building a logical argument with logos, so Wendy's would be like 100% beef, never frozen.
Exactly, that's really good.
Isn't that Wendy's, right?
That's
100% beef, never frozen.
You know that McDonald's said that half of their beef is not going to be frozen? You know that
Whoa, whoa,
half
whoa,
is
whoa,
going to be
whoa,
frozen.
distractibility, let's focus on Wendy's, right? The linear logical argument, right? Why is Wendy's better? Well, one, they've got square patties, and it's all beef, never frozen, man. Right? You're hitting them with
Right.
facts.
Exactly.
And it's grass fed.
Fred?
And it's grass fed, alright. Okay, so you see where she's going with that, you're out of here.
Right, so, you know, where I'm going with this, like, that's a really good example, is that logos is all about the why. So, why are you bringing this reasoning? Why are you know, why do you like that? Why does it matter to you? And what are you doing that, like, how is it going to impact the jury or the people that are listening to you? So, if you have good reasoning behind what you're talking about, then people are more inclined to believe you, which pulls in ethos. So it all kind of like comes together to build a really good argument. So for your mock trial, the evidence has to fit the case and be credible for the reasoning of your evidence. And you know, if the evidence is tampered with, for example, the logos goes down. So your reasoning why, oh yeah, I chose this pencil because, you know, blah 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 blah. But if the pencil is tampered with, then that puts the logic and reasoning behind why you picked it, like, it goes way down, and then your credibility goes down after that. And then choosing kind of the best type of evidence that will grow your case. So if you have, you know, 10 pieces of evidence sitting on a table, you have to choose like the top 3 that will just kind of fit the case the best and fit your argument the best. And it's all about bringing out the facts. Okay, so the last one is pathos. So pathos are the emotions that gets tied in with your case or your argument. So with pathos, you have to kind of think about keeping an eye out to see if it's actually genuine emotions or if they're faking it. But once the jury catches on to your evidence and your emotions that you have, they have to keep reading or they have to keep listening to when the emotion or the pathos is involved. So this is using really strong language with your emotions. So, saying this is the best wouldn't help because it's not explaining kind of what why it's the best. So kind of thinking about how these emotions kind of go into your argument as well.
I wish these guys were movie folks because I could take them through old movies. I would say your ethos would be My Cousin Vinny when Marissa Tomei talks about tires, right? That would be one. When you talk about your logos, that's Tom Cruise in A Few Good Men, right? Right before he gets the Colonel Jessup to lose his mind and say, I ordered the code red, right? He's using logos to get him there, right? He uses logos to get him there. When you talk about pathos, that's Matthew McConaughey in A Time to Kill, right? Alright, those are I think of that. Now I know you guys probably want me to use what? Legally Blonde or Liar Liar.
No, I like it.
I mean that's probably those are the jokes they want me to use.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Alright, here we go. See how I'm pretty sharp. Alright.
So the pathos examples, for a real life example, it would be commercials. So have you guys ever seen those commercials where it's the sad puppies and the sad cats, and there are, you know, like the Arms of the Angels song is going on in the background.
Sarah
And, like,
McLachlan is singing it.
Yep, yeah.
Uh,
And they're like, they always bring out the emotions, like, you should adopt, you should, you know, call this number and donate money so that dogs don't have to sleep on the street. So like when you see advertisements like that, what's your go-to emotion that you feel?
Empathy.
Yeah, I just changed it.
Well, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. No, wait a minute.
Empathy.
Everybody stop making jokes because somebody just said something that was really powerful there.
Empathy.
Empathy.
Empathy, exactly. So it's making you feel bad for the pets or for somebody else. So, but pathos can also be happy. So it doesn't have to be like sad, depressing emotions. It can be, you know, like those Facebook ads where, you know, they're showing people dancing and having fun times with each other. So that could bring out some like happy memories. So pathos is just kind of anything that triggers the emotions inside of you that make you feel happy or sad.
My wife is trying to use a pathos argument
There
to
you
get me
go.
to buy them a dog.
Buy a dog.
Aww.
No,
They're making kids happy.
I don't.
Anna would
So, you know, like the
I
puppy
will
dog
not be
eyes.
affected by peer pressure.
Like puppy dog
Don't worry,
eyes.
he's with the dog.
What a dog.
Pay attention.
So, like Mr. Scale just showed you guys, the puppy dog eyes in that picture make you like feel these emotions, and you go aw, or you want to you know, you want to buy the dog now because you see how cute they are and it pulls out that emotional tie. So for the mock trial, this would be your opening or closing statements. So those are how, you know, the lawyers talking about how they want the jury to feel about the case. So they bring in really strong language, some of that guided imagery that we talked about when I did my attention getters lesson, getting them to kind of be like in the like world of their the person that they're defending. And then the jury, they're the most susceptible to pathos, because they're the ones that are being swayed. But the jury has to kind of like weigh the options and kind of watch the emotion and make sure that their emotions aren't getting in the way of what they're going to judge later. And then the witnesses show emotion, but you have to kind of think about what I was talking about earlier. Is it too little or too much emotion? Are they faking it? You know, you see those reality TV shows where the people are just like crying like constantly, and you're just like, will you literally, yeah, you know, stop crying. Like you can tell that there's a fakeness to it, but that emotional tie gets you to keep watching the show. So it's just kind of trying to see, you know, having that emotional tie, but also keeping in mind that, you know, they could be faking it, or they could be not as credible because of that emotion, or the lack of emotion that they're showing too. Okay, so we're gonna do a little activity. We're gonna be separating into groups, and we'll watch clips from movies, and one movie and one TV show. And so group 1 is gonna find examples of ethos. Group 2 is gonna find examples of logos, and group 3 is gonna find examples of pathos. Then once we're done watching the 5-minute clip from the movie, you guys are gonna talk about it in your groups. And you're gonna choose one person to write down kind of examples that you saw of ethos, logos, and pathos on the whiteboard. So we'll just have you 6 be in a group. These 2 rows of desks be in a group, and then those 2. So you guys are group 1, you guys are group 2, and you guys are group 3. So you guys are going to try to find examples of ethos. So what's credible? How does the person that's talking like build their credibility? What could be some maybe warning signs that they're not credible? Group 2, you guys are going to try to find examples of facts or logos. So what reasonings do the people bring to what they're kind of what they're talking about? How does the evidence come up? And then group 3, you guys are going to be talking about the emotions that you see in the video.
Oh, I love
reasons.
Linear logical.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
Legally blonde, it says on the top left corner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so just watch the
Do you swear to tell the
video
truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Be seated.
Ms. Woods, you may begin your questioning.
First of all, I would like to point out that not only is there no proof in this case, but there's a complete lack of mens rea, which by definition tells us that there can be no crime without a vicious will.
I am aware of the meaning of mens rea. What I'm unaware of is why you're giving me a vocabulary lesson when you should be questioning your witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Wyndham, when you arrived back at the house, was your father there?
Not that I saw, but like I said, I went straight upstairs to take a shower.
And when you came downstairs, what happened?
I saw Brooke standing over his body, drenched in his blood.
But Mrs. Wyndham didn't have a gun.
No, she'd stashed it by then.
Move to strike that from the record, Your Honor. It's speculation.
So stricken.
Miss Wyndham, did you hear a shot fired?
No, I was in the shower.
Okay. So, sometime in the 20 minutes that you were in the shower, your father was shot.
I guess.
Your father was shot while you were in the shower, but you didn't hear the shot because you were in the shower?
Yes. I was washing my hair.
Where's she going with this? Have a little faith, Your
Miss Wyndham, what had you done earlier that day?
I got up, got a latte, went to the gym, got a perm, and came home.
Well, you got in the shower?
I believe the witness has made it clear that she was in the shower.
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Wyndham, had you ever gotten a perm before?
Yes.
How many would you say?
2 a year since I was 12. You do the math.
You know, a girl in my sorority, Tracy Marcinko, got a perm once. We all tried to talk her out of it. Girls weren't a good look for her. She didn't have the bone structure. Oh. But thankfully, that same day, she entered the Beta Delta Pi wet t-shirt contest where she was completely hosed down from head to toe. Objection. Why is this relevant? Oh, I have a point, I promise.
Then make it.
Yes. Chummy, why is it that Tracy Marcinko's curls were ruined when she got hosed down?
Because I got wet?
Exactly. Because isn't it the first cardinal rule of perm maintenance that you're forbidden to wet your hair for at least 24 hours after getting a perm at the risk of deactivating the ammonium thioglycolate?
Yes.
And wouldn't somebody who's had, say, 30 perms before in their life be well aware of this rule? And if in fact you weren't washing your hair, as I suspect you weren't because your curls are still intact, wouldn't you have heard the gunshot? And if in fact you had heard the gunshot, Brooke Wyndham wouldn't have had time to hide the gun before you got downstairs, which would mean that you would have had to have found Mrs. Wyndham with a gun in her hand to make your story plausible. Isn't that right?
She's my age. Did she tell you that? How would you feel if your father married someone who was your age?
You, however, had time to hide the gun, didn't you, Chetney? After you shot your father.
I didn't mean to shoot him. I thought it was you walking through the door.
Order, order! Order!
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Okay.
Wait, what is it?
So, group 1, talk about ethos. Group 2, talk about logos. And group 3, talk about patterns.
Hey, work in your group. Work in your group. Group, turn around. Work in your group. Stop talking to other groups.
Have you actually seen that?
Haven't
you found out?
I love that movie so much. It's a good movie.
What?
So what are you guys trying to find?
No, I know it is.
No. Okay, so logos. What is the logos that she used during? What is the logical?
Well, so you get a perm, right? And the golden rule is that you have to at
well, and the
least wait
ladies-
a full day after
Did it
wash.
And then you can wash your hair after.
Yeah.
I know that because I
Okay, so you guys understand that, right? You understand that's what the logic is that she was.
What do you guys talking about?
She was
And
blind.
then because she already said she got
White trash?
So she was, so the way she identified that and walked people through step by step what was supposed to happen, right? That was the logos. No, there was no emotion involved at all.
Near the end.
No, but that's not the logos part. The logos part of it was the questions about the perm and how, if you had gotten a perm, how could you possibly have not been
I've had it at least 30 times.
you know that. So you're not looking for the emotion, you're looking for the right? All right.
Is it gonna, she's gonna have you, can't even spell the word.
You guys want to write it on the board?
What it is.
No, did.
Josh, go get it.
Yeah, Josh.
Go.
I got you a green monster.
Quickly, let's go. Make sure you limit your conversation there.
Ooh, it is, man.
Find somebody to decide to write on the board, decide which one to write on the board, and then have somebody go up and write it.
How do you spell emotions? I don't know. Wait, E? Alright, what are you looking for? He was wondering how to spell a word. E.
Her emotion about her father, right?
Yeah, like they're kicking her emotion.
I watched that show. There was only a season. Early season, last season. I only watched like half.
Your emotions about her father were kicking you.
It's like E.T.'s dad.
Why, David?
Yeah, his eyes just look like I don't like it.
It doesn't spoil anything.
Alright, let's get seated.
Alright, so ethos group. You said the information given.
Hey, everybody needs to quiet, pay attention.
Alright, you said the information given about having a perm and then taking a shower even though she has had 30 before. So how does that show ethos?
Because it's conflicting information.
Right, good. And how did the lawyer at the beginning compared to at the end show ethos?
She didn't seem very confident.
Mm-hmm. And then at the end, when she realized she was really confident, and that builds your ethos. If you're more confident about what you're talking about, then people are more able to believe you and believe what your argument is saying. All right, good. Logos people. So you said if she got 30 perms before, then she should know the rule that you can't shower it within 24 hours. That's really good. Was there any other facts that you saw in the video besides the part about the perm?
The 20-minute one where she said that she was taking a shower for 20 minutes, because that only gave her opportunity to remove the gun for 20 minutes.
Good. Yeah, so, putting those facts together and, the reasoning behind why that, is a good argument and why that, why your story didn't line up, would be kind of the logos aspect of it. And then pathos, you guys said her emotions about her father were kicking in. So Henry kind of had a good point when I was talking to him about this. So what did you what led up to her emotions about her father? Like, how could you tell that her emotions were about to, the voice changed?
She started blushing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so emotions and pathos also includes body language. So if you kind of think about, if someone starts fidgeting, or she starts, looking other directions, or seems nervous, that could add to your argument and add to the emotion that you're feeling. So we have one more video. It's shorter, and we're gonna watch it, and we're not gonna write it on the board, but I'm gonna give you, you're in the same groups, but I'm gonna give you a different thing to look at. So group 1, you're gonna look at pathos. Group 2, you're gonna look at ethos. And group 3, you're gonna look at logos. And then instead of writing it on the board, once you're done discussing it, we're gonna just talk about it in front of the class.
A consulting criminal.
Yes.
Your words. Can you expand on that answer?
James Moriarty is for hire.
A tradesman?
Yes.
But not the sort who'd fix your heating?
No, the sort of plant a bomb or stage an assassination, but I'm sure he'd make a pretty decent job of your boiler.
Would you describe him as what?
Can't do that, you're leading the witness. He'll object and the judge will uphold.
Mr. Holmes.
Ask me how. How would I describe him? What opinion have I formed of him? I'll teach you this.
Mr. Holmes, we're fine without your help.
How would you describe this man, his character?
First mistake. James Moriarty isn't a man at all. He's a spider. A spider at the center of a web. Criminal web with 1,000 threads, and he knows precisely how each and every single one of them dances.
And how long?
No, don't do that. That's really not a good question.
Mr. Holmes.
How long have I known him? Really your best line of inquiry. We met twice, 5 minutes in total. I pulled a gun, he tried to blow me up. I felt we had a special something.
Miss Sorrel, are you seriously claiming this man is an expert? After knowing the accused for just 5 minutes?
2 minutes would have made me an expert. 5 was ample.
Mr. Holmes, that's a matter for the jury.
Oh, really? 1 librarian, 2 teachers, 2 high-pressure jobs, probably the city. Foreman's a medical secretary, trained abroad, judging by her shorthand. 7 are married and 2 having an affair with each other, it would seem. Oh, they've just had tea and biscuits. Would you like to know who ate the wafer?
Mr. Holmes, you've been called here to answer Miss Sorrel's questions, not to give us a display of your intellectual prowess. Keep your answers brief and to the point. Anything else will be treated as contempt. Do you think you could survive for just a few minutes without showing off?
So group 1, talk about, what did I say? Logos? Or pathos? No. Group 1, talk about pathos. Group 2, talk about ethos.
Sorry.
And then group 3, talk about logos.
So he showed that he was credible when he
Baxter,
showed off
we're
his
going
video.
away from. I got you, the way
It's a TV show, yeah.
No. So it was a metaphor. So because he has so many like ties to the criminal world, he knows to pull what like strings to tell what people to do. So that's what he meant by the web and how he was in the middle of the spider web. He was controlling.
Okay, so group 1, what did you talk about for ethos? Or logos, or whatever. Yeah. What credibility did Sherlock show in the like little clip that we saw? What'd you say?
Well, he didn't exactly show much of emotion the entire time. It was mostly just rambling on about a bunch of stuff that, yeah, that wasn't relevant to the case.
Right. So, did you see any like signs of emotion at all? Like maybe like body language wise, like maybe, you know, shocked? Good. Why was he shocked?
He wasn't, but the jury was. Because they were so shocked that he knew everything about them without even talking to them.
Right. And how does that build his credibility?
Built it very well. Because they didn't think that he could know someone within 5 minutes, but not even talking to someone and knowing already what they do without even talking to them builds his credibility by a
Right.
lot.
Exactly. And then logos. What facts did you kind of see with this clip?
That guy ate the wafer.
How did you see that? How did they show that?
He had Trump's on his shirt.
Right, exactly. When you guys are doing your mock trial, kind of like thinking about how you're being credible, how, you know, your facts, if they line up, or how pathos, how you're showing your emotion, and when to, you know, step back and not show your emotion, can all just very much contribute to what you're going to be talking about later. And then going back to that. Alright, so final analogy, going back to the survey I had you guys do at the very beginning, just to kind of like pull this all in together. So, if you got, when we went over this, 2 of you chose Fritos, 7 chose Doritos, and 6 chose Cheetos. So Fritos is the most sophisticated chip. So, you know, it says what it is. It's a tortilla chip, and that's what you get. So that's really credible, it's believable, and it's healthier, which is also more believable why it's like a really good chip. And the older or more experienced people eat them. So usually when you have those giant like bags where it has like the mini bags of chips, like one of the last ones are the Fritos. And you know, the older, like, you know, if it's on a field trip, for example, the teacher might be like, okay, well, I'll choose the Fritos because they're healthier for me. Doritos could be logos because there's lots of evidence to back up why it's the best chip. Their commercials are good, and there's different flavors and something for everybody. And then Cheetos is pathos because once you start eating it, you can't stop. Once the jury is hooked onto the emotion, it's hard to get them off and thinking about anything else. And they feed off of the emotion that they're talking about. And that's it. That's ethos, logos, and pathos.
Josh.